Welcome to the Communicating Capital podcast, where business and communication get a fresh perspective. Hosted by a dynamic team of women in the industry, we're here to redefine the conversation with candid, no-nonsense interviews featuring top executives, communication experts, and industry leaders. Whether you're a seasoned professional or you're just interested in our world, we're here to help you navigate the space in new and exciting ways. Today, we have a guest who truly embodies transformation and impact, Shelley, the CEO, founder, and yes, the chief troublemaker of the female Quotient. Shelley has built the largest global community of women in business, connecting over 6 million women across 30 industries in 100 plus countries. She's a 3-time movement maker, a fierce advocate for gender equality in the workplace, and a thought leader redefining leadership himself. From the Equality Lounge, an iconic space for women at the world's biggest industry conferences, to co-founding #SeeHer, a campaign that has promoted portrayals of women in media, she is a force of nature. Shelley, welcome to Communicating Capital.
First of all, thank you for such a nice introduction and such a warm welcome. And I'm just so honored and grateful to be on this with you and so proud of all you are doing and how you're amplifying so many important voices. So thank you.
It's an honor to have you. Honestly, Shelley, your journey from pioneering market research to launching the Female Quotient is nothing short of extraordinary. Do you mind taking us back to a time that you realized you needed to create the Female Quotient? What was that turning point for you?
It makes me smile when you say that because there's another big announcement that's going to come out shortly that's going to be so important for all of us collectively. So I'm a little teary-eyed because I just got the message before I came on with you. But, my girlfriend, Charlotte Beers, who was the first woman to run a public ad agency, says, I'd rather be in charge. And I think that was, I always talk about your head, the cognitive will be the rational and the justification and talk you in or out of something. But I've always followed my heart, and I call those heartbeat moments, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And it was that heartbeat moment that I realized I need to be in charge of my destiny. Because if I keep waiting and watching or walking in the footsteps of those ahead of me, which were not primary caregivers, I would not last in the workplace. I think my first one was my review. I must have been 25 years old. And I thought I was the perfect employee. I came in early. I stayed late. I said yes. I helped everyone. I thought I was going to get this promotion at this review. And we had typewriters at the time. And it was 6 typewritten pages. The first paragraph, all the niceties that I'm smart and talented and all that. But then it ripped me to shreds of things that were what I thought ridiculous. Like I take clients to too many lunches and I come back and I'm not an order taker, but I push people out of their comfort zones to color out of the lines and basically listen to what the client wants, which I thought you're supposed to do. But I think I was supposed to just be an order taker, say, yes, okay, but this is how we do it. And this is the survey length. And this is the questions you need to ask. And it wasn't who I was. And so at the end of the review, they wanted me to sign it to agree with the assessment. And my head said, sign, I need this job. My heart said, no way. I am not an order taker. And I think understanding clients and relationships matter. And so I remember looking at my boss, Bill Molt, saying to him, you're so wrong. And one day you're going to regret this decision, because he was putting someone above me. And that was my first moment of I need to be in charge of my destiny. And then the second most important one was when I had the idea to migrate research from offline to online, but no one was online at the time. Everyone was on 14.4 modems, and only wealthy old men with broadband connections were online. And I went to my boss and my boss's boss and my men. And I said, I think it's time to migrate research from offline to online. Now, it wasn't their fault, but they said to me 2 things. One, it's not the right time because you need a representative population. And the second was we just got acquired by a company called Ipsos, and we need to expand globally before we can, start innovating in new ways. I was at a conference the following week with the chief research officer of Procter & Gamble. His name was Larry Mock. My bosses were all in the front row, and I'm whispering to Larry. And I come off the stage, and my boss said, what'd you talk to him about? I said, I just asked him, when is the right time to come to Procter & Gamble and talk about migrating research from offline to online? And my boss said, what did he say? He said, come next week.
I love that.
And my bosses said, well, John will go, Paul will go, Ringo will go, and Star will go. I'm like, well, what about Shelley? I got the meeting. And they said to me, and this was probably the most transformative moment, they said, it's a boys' club. this is the right team. Mm. And I said, fine, I'll cancel the meeting and you can all wait for the right time. And it was that moment of clarity that, why am I never right? Why is it never the right time? Why am I waiting and watching for someone to give me permission to be me and to always follow someone else? I'm not a status quo thinker. And that epiphany was what led me to create OTX, Online Testing Exchange. And had I not have done that, I wouldn't have been the pioneer or the mother of online research. I was the first, I was the second, and I was the third. So I think that was probably the inspiration behind it.
I love that. I love the story because it does start somewhere. So everybody has their origin story, and I never actually knew yours in particular. So I actually thank you for sharing that for us. Yeah. And something about my team is we are made up majority of women, if not everybody on my team is a female, and everybody's been following the FQ for years. We talk about it all the time. When we go to CES, we always want to know about the equality lounge that you have there. And I just really do believe that it is a global movement, or it's become this global movement that we love to support. What do you think makes it so unique, and how have you been able to turn such a moment into this movement that everybody wants to get behind?
We were so ahead of, there was no DE&I or women focus or, so we were kind of ahead of the curve. I always think it's like 10 years ahead. And I just created something that I needed. This was my giving back with generosity, what I wish I had my whole career, which was Girlfriends in Business. I'm 63 years old. In the history of my journey in the workplace, women, unfortunately, were competing with one another. And it's not because we're aggressive and all that language. It's just that there was such a scarcity of jobs at the top and that one position for the woman that you dig your heels into someone and push them down to get ahead, which was so ridiculously stupid. And so I realized at the stage of my life that I wasn't going to retire without fixing the problem. I wasn't going to leave this next generation, your generation, generations to follow with the problems that we had. And so it was really important to me. And so I think what makes it so wow, and I called it the business of equality 11 years ago. I made that up and I trademarked business of equality. And we are not in the business of D&I. We are not in the business of women. We are in the business of rewriting the rules so that everyone has the opportunity to thrive in the workplace. Right. And when you build a company or a culture based on the lowest common denominator or around the collective minority, it's going to work for the current majority. Period, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Like, it's going to work. And so I think the power of FQ is the power of the pack. It's the power of our community. We have over 6.5 million women across industries, all supporting one another for the first time ever. And the crazy thing is, and it's this intangible, you don't have to have met somebody. You say you're part of FQ, you're going to get a hug, hello, and a yes. And it's not just about the pack of women. I say it's also about conscious leaders. And so we are powered by collaboration, bringing the biggest companies together. I don't care if you're a competitor or not. We are going to work together to create the new rules forward that everyone can thrive and everyone can be seen and everyone can be heard. And you know what that translates to? Belonging. When we talk about cultural belonging, you can't dictate from the top down, we are going to have a culture of belonging. It comes from the people that you hire inside of a company all around. I hire for passion, train for skill. That's why I say that. You want passionate, kind people that respect each other. That's how culture happens. It's not a command and control. It is a be. It's not a to-do list. It's a to be. Who do you want to be? And when you hire for people that are passionate, purpose-driven, loving and kind and respectful, you will create that culture of belonging. And when you have a culture of belonging, walking in a room where you feel seen and welcome with arms around you and that big virtual hug, You will stand up, you will stand out, you will stand together, and you will bring your best self to that company. And you internally will have that confidence to use your voice. And that matters. So I think that's our power. I think it's our community.
It's so powerful. It is so powerful, the community side of it. And I feel like it is a community, but you have taken such steps to create the seats for women at tables that we weren't necessarily able to reach back 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even today. Even today, we're having those struggles, as I'm sure you know more than most. And so I noted that you've created the Equality Lounge, and those are recognized at CES. They're recognized at events all over the globe. Why do you think these lounges have been so transformative, and what role do they play in driving systemic change?
Okay, you're good at this. These are really good questions. So we have evolved our lounges from the Girls Lounge. And originally I was very conscious and intentional calling it the Girls Lounge, even though a lot of women didn't like the name. They're like, we're not girls, we're women. I said, have you ever heard men object to being boys in the boys club? Or go girl, girlfriends, girl, be a girl, like bring your feminine to the table, put hair and makeup on if you want. We don't have to wear ugly shoes. We don't have to wear ugly suits anymore. We don't have to wear pantyhose anymore. Like those days are over. Like be you and bring you to the table. So we called it the Girls Lounge. Once we connected over 6 million women to one another, I evolved to Equality Lounge. So, and I called it the place for conscious leaders. And now we are moving to just FQ Lounge, the place to be. It's the place where business happens. I think that it has evolved into this, from a moment to a movement to now like this momentum. We're at this like flipping point moment that's transformative. A, because it's necessary. B, we come in with empathy, compassion, human leadership. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you're in a position of power, use that power to pull others up. And we democratize the system because, we're probably hosting 60 to 70 lounges of experiences a year now in every category, whether they're dinner parties or cocktail parties or pop-ups or summits or full-on lounges. We are always unbadged. Always unbadged. Even though we're the official partners of all these conferences, the requirement for us to be there is unbadged, that people don't need to have a badge to be in our space. And it just democratizes the system. And the other thing that we've done is in every lounge now, we broadcast out so that everyone, even if they can't be in a physical lounge, they can participate, learn, share virtually. And not only are our lounges, democratized, but even our content. And LinkedIn has become such an important channel for people to be heard, for thought leadership to be shared, not top down, bottom up, but all around. So I think that that's probably what is the magic around a lounge. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's ours collectively.
I love that. When we share this episode, we are going to share more details on the lounges and the ones that are upcoming if anybody would like to join and be a part of it. It is fantastic. I do want to pivot just quickly because you co-created the See Her movement, which is so huge, by the way. It's transformed the way that women and girls are portrayed in the media. Can you share the impact of this initiative and why representation in the media is such a critical piece to the gender equality puzzle?
It's a pretty amazing one. I was at a conference sitting with the former Chief Technology Officer, Megan Smith of the United States under Obama administration, and with my dear girlfriend, Gail Tipford, who at the time was the CMO of Unilever, then went on to be the CMO of WW, Weight Watchers, and now is in the recruiting business. And my girlfriend, Patty Kerr, who is a PR guru genius. And we were just saying, it's really ridiculous that all media and entertainment are not representing and reflecting girls and women in the way we should be portrayed. And not in an unrealistic or positive way just to be positive, but in a realistic way, which is who we are and what we do. And so we came up with this idea of see her. If you can see her, you can be her. And media creates culture, right? And how and who we see and how we see them. And so we decided to bring it to the ANA, the Association of National Advertisers, because we thought it belonged with a trade association. And See Her was born. And the most important piece of See Her is our measurement piece. Because, of course, we want to have scripts that don't just have the woman in a house coat getting in her car, taking her kids to school, and being frantic and fanatic and frenetic and backing up and running over the dog or the cat. Or, that's how women have been portrayed. Like, it's silly.
I know.
Like, ridiculous. But was creating the measurement around it. You treasure what you measure. And we have, as a researcher, we have a lot of measurement. We have recall, we have persuasion, we have likability, we have relevance. We have all these measures that we've put in place over, 50 years ago. And the latest measure we launched over 20 years ago, which was likability when digital media arose, that we needed a new measure to measure equality and the accurate, realistic portrayal of girls and women in media and entertainment. And so we called it the GEM score, the Gender Equality Measure. And it was funny when we created Gender Equality Measure, I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, GEM. We kept saying GEM. And I'm like, GEM is GEM. It's a GEM. And so we launched that and it became embraced by all advertisers to endorse and to put into their research protocol. And so we now have the largest database of GEM scores as well. Simple scores to add to any copy test. It takes, 3 extra seconds on a survey, and it got embraced, endorsed, and it's now a universal measure.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's something that I actually did not see in my research. So I need to look into that a little bit more and see how we could perhaps apply that for the media work that we do on our end too. Something that's interesting, Shelley, is I mean, obviously everybody knows that you work with some of the biggest names in the business, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or if it's an individual that's quite influential, but you also work with innovative startups, so ones that are up and coming. Can you tell us a little bit about the biggest challenges that companies face when they're trying to implement any type of equality within their own culture or with their own company?
First of all, it's about opportunity, growth, innovation. It is not about a checkbox. Don't just put women at the seat or hire women to bring entrepreneurs or new technology. You do it because you need the best talent. So it is about casting the widest net to ensure that you have the best talent to represent and reflect the audience you serve. The economy is naturally diverse. And so if we don't have that same representation on the inside to reflect the customers, the consumers, the fans, the business that we are creating, companies will become irrelevant. They'll become Kodak and Polaroid. So it's, when you think about purchase power, over 85% of purchase decisions are made by women. When you look at women's health, and I just wrote a big article with Sharon and with McKinsey, and it was called Mice Don't Menstruate. Like, no one has ever talked about that. Do you know the implications or potential implications, whether it's true or not? Just that headline is so sensationalized. Mice don't menstruate. And yet, hormonal health, we use lab rats for everything we do. And yet, women's health is misdiagnosed more often than men, especially with chronic pain and heart and brain health, all these issues. Or look at all of the innovations out there that I can guarantee you have not been designed with women in mind, like a seatbelt. You tell me that a seatbelt is anatomically comfortable on your boobs. It's not. It's just, you're always pulling on it and tugging.
Always, yes.
Right? It doesn't work. Or airbags. Airbags, the number one fatality with airbag is women when it opens. Why? Because it was designed by men on male dummies. Our bones are different. Like, this is why we need women at every dimension to reflect all of these different aspects, not because it's a nice to have. It is a need to have. And so female founders, more importantly, what I'm obsessed with right now is women-owned businesses, 51% ownership, and the procurement process. Less than 1% of procurement dollars. We're very B2B. Less than 1% of procurement dollars goes to women-owned businesses. Why? Because they're not there? No. Because they're not tech qualified? No. They are not seen. And because they are so behind in entering the workplace, they're not getting the same funding. And all the contracts are going to legacy businesses. Opportunity, though, because I never look at what's wrong. I look at what the potential is. With tariffs and trade, we need a lot of new vendors. Hire women. They outperform men every single time when they are given the opportunity.
What advice would you give these companies or individuals that are looking to expand their teams with more women and more opportunity in particular? And how can they actually make that happen?
So we're great connectors and amplifiers and also storytellers. It's all about storytelling. Like, I got the most amazing message one day. I don't know if it was DM or LinkedIn or whatever, from this woman. Her name is Casey. And she says, I'm a truck driver. She lives in Texas. I said, you're a truck driver? She says, yeah, I started with one truck. I now have a fleet of 350 plus.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
And she's a women-owned certified business. Hello, Fortune 500 companies that are hiring trucking companies. Hire Casey.
Exactly.
She's amazing. Like, we just have to tell these stories and share them and then connect the dots to our brands and our customers that are buyers. Buy from women. Don't go wrong.
I agree with you. And Shelley, on top of everything that you already embody and that you already are, you are also EY Entrepreneur of the Year, a LinkedIn top 20 most influential voice, Fast Company named the Female Quotient, one of the brands that matter. What has been your proudest moment so far on this entire journey?
That anything is possible if you want it and if we all go together. There is, I call them whoosh moments. Whoosh, it's this. I can't even tell you what to do. It's once you experience the feeling of connection and collaboration and the change that happens from that, there's no turning back. And you're all in. So I think I am amazed that when I wake up every morning and I can feel the vibration of our community, which is virtual, which is not even a community. It's a community that's not a community. It makes me proud because it isn't what I've done. It's what we've done. Right. And that's pretty miraculous. And it's leading others to follow, but then go to the next level and take it further.
It's inspiring all of us. Really, all of us. And there's so many different people in so many different industries that I'm sure that you're connected with, that we're connected with, whether it be in PR or in media or something of the sort, or maybe they're female lawyers or female people that are investment bankers that are working on Wall Street that are still having struggles today. It's quite interesting, but everybody knows the Female Quotient, and we're so happy to be involved and be following your work. And I have to say, it's been phenomenal to hear your insights and wisdom. So before we wrap up, what is one final piece of advice or thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience?
I quote Oscar Wilde a lot because it is so true. It's be yourself because everyone else is taken. Don't be afraid if you are afraid, own that fear and do it anyways. Be you. We are all necessary in this equation. And that is where our power comes from, is knowing on the inside we have that confidence to be anything we want to be. And there's always a solution. There's always a way. You just got to find it. And you have all of us right by your side to help push you through, to push your ideas through, and to make sure that we make the invisible visible, because we are amazing. And I want everyone to know that and feel that.
Thank you so much, Shelley. So be you is what we're going to leave everything off with today. Thank you so much for joining us today on Communicating Capital.
Oh my God, first of all, I love what you do and who you are. And thank you for such a wonderful conversation.
You're so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.